Hey there guys, Nordic Warrior here, back with another video. So, as I told you guys in my last video, I have a couple of really long retrospectives that I'm planning to upload this week. The one that I intended to upload today is taking way too long to export, so that's probably not going to be finished by today. Why it's taken so long, I don't know. I'm assuming it's either because the video is in a higher frame rate and higher resolution than I normally use for this channel, or it could just be that my laptop has basically bit the dust and it's low on memory, and yeah, for whatever reason the hardware just isn't keeping up with the software. So yeah, that video isn't going to be finished today. Probably upload it later in the week along with another one, if time permits it. But I figured I'd make a video anyway, because for whatever reason I just really wanted to make a video today. So I spoke to someone earlier, and I heard that Josh Taylor is apparently going to be making a comeback, and he's finally, after all these years, going to be moving up to the welterweight division. And what I found quite interesting about it is that the opponent he selected to fight for his first fight at welterweight is a guy called Ekow Essuman. Now, I've never talked about Ekow Essuman on the channel before, but he's a guy whose career I have followed for quite a number of years now. He's a fighter from Nottingham, which of course is a place that I grew up. And yeah, he's quite popular there. He's got quite a lot of fans. And he's a guy who is kind of a British level contender who a couple of years ago had quite a bit of hype, sort of locally in the area. And I believe he actually was British champion at one point. Now, if you've seen Ekow Essuman's career, if you looked at his record and whatnot, he has one loss on his record, which was a fight that took place last year, which was an upset against a guy called Harry Scarf. Now, Harry Scarf's another guy I've talked about on the channel before. In my opinion, he is one of the more underrated fighters at British level in the welterweight division. He's a very tall guy, something like 6 foot, which is very tall for a welterweight. Very awkward guy. He actually has a couple of upset wins over some highly touted prospects. You might remember I talked about back in the day when he upset Jack Flatley, who was quite a highly touted prospect at the time, just like Ekow was. You know, Harry Scarf is just one of them guys. He's a very, very awkward, very rangy, very difficult guy to time, and he has a habit of going in there and upsetting prospects. So yeah, him being able to defeat Ekow wasn't really a massive surprise to me. In fact, going into that fight, I pretty much saw it 50-50. So, yeah, I found it interesting that Josh Taylor, for his first fight at welterweight, is choosing to fight a guy like Ekow Essuman, because I would have expected Taylor, for his first fight in the division, you know, before going for a title shot, to take on somebody who was a bit of a soft touch, maybe a low-level fringe contender who had a bit of name value. But no, instead he's going straight for a domestic rival like Ekow Essuman. And I gotta be honest, guys, I'm a little bit concerned for Josh Taylor going into this fight. I actually think, and this might sound crazy looking at the difference in experience between the two, and the difference in overall level, but I gotta be perfectly honest. I can't think of a worse type of opponent for Josh Taylor to fight at this stage of his career, for his first fight in the welterweight division, coming off two losses, clearly on a rebuilding process, or at least you would hope. I can't think of a worse kind of guy for him to fight than someone like Ekow Essuman. Because if you've ever seen this guy, Ekow Essuman is one of these fighters. He kind of reminds me of someone like Timothy Bradley. And what I mean by that is he's kind of a short, stocky guy, but he's a guy who comes forward all night, works on the inside. He's quite rough, he's quite dangerous with his head, a little bit dirty, throws a lot of punches, throws a lot of clubbing hooks. Not really that big a puncher, not really that explosive. Again, very similar to Timothy Bradley, but he's kind of like a buzzsaw. He just gets in there and works you over, and he's very, very difficult to time. He's very, very difficult to tame. Harry Scarf was able to do it by being so long and so rangy and moving laterally around the ring, and also tying up skillfully on the inside. That's kind of how Harry Scarf fights. You might think that Josh Taylor could do something similar because he is the taller guy with the longer reach. But Josh Taylor doesn't really use his height, he doesn't really use his reach. He's more of a pressure fighter, more of an inside fighter, so that's not really going to be an issue, I don't think. And I've got a feeling that this fight is going to go horribly wrong for Josh Taylor. I'm not saying he's going to lose. I'm not saying that he can't beat someone like Ekow Essuman. He definitely is capable of winning the fight, though I wouldn't be completely shocked if he didn't, if truth be told. I mean, Josh Taylor is at that stage of his career now where, you know, he could just fall apart at any moment. I mean, like I said, he's coming off 2 losses. He's been very, very inactive over the years, fighting once a year, no more than that. And it's been, let's be honest, it's been a very long time since he looked good in a fight. I mean, he looked absolutely atrocious, at least from a physical perspective, in his last 2 fights. You know, looked drained. His last 3 fights, actually, he's looked pretty bad. You know, he's looked drained, he's looked undernourished, undermotivated. He looks a lot physically weaker than he had in the past. And of course, a lot of that has to do with making weight. And you could say, well, he's moving up in weight now, so that shouldn't be an issue. But let's not forget, he's in his 30s now, his mid-30s. You know, he's been in a few back and forth wars. We also know that Josh Taylor has had issues outside of the ring, you know, drugs, alcohol, just hasn't lived the life. You know, he's not living the kind of lifestyle that somebody like Bernard Hopkins, for example, would live. You know, someone who takes care of themselves and, you know, is able to keep himself at that level as he gets older and as his physical ability starts to decline. Josh Taylor is more of a Ricky Hatton type of fighter. You know, a kind of a live fast, die young way of living. And that kind of fighting style that he has, you know, the come forward, aggressive, pressure fighting style, as well as, you know, that sort of lifestyle, it just doesn't age well. So I'm actually quite concerned for Taylor going into this fight, and I would not be surprised if there was a big upset here. Now, it's interesting because I'm torn between this fight and another fight. See, I've been asked to go to the Anthony Kakache versus Lee Wood fight, which I believe is happening the same month as this fight. I know that this fight isn't officially confirmed yet, but this fight is all indication that I've heard is that it is happening. I'm torn about which one to go to though, because I probably won't go to both. But yeah, I figured I'd make a quick video there because I've got a feeling about this fight, and I've never really had this about Josh Taylor before going into a fight. But I've got a feeling that this guy is just all wrong for him at this stage of his career. So yeah, interesting little bit of news there. I think this fight could be one to watch. I think it could turn out to be a very messy, very ugly, very scrappy fight. From what I hear, the fight's going to be in Glasgow, so it's going to be in Taylor's backyard. However, the guy who's promoting the fight is Frank Warren. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Taylor has signed with Frank Warren, and I believe he has an affiliation with Ekow Essuman. So who knows? This could be a setup. You know, they could be using Josh Taylor to build up this guy. You never know. So yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be a really good one. You know, Josh Taylor is a fighter who I've long been a believer in. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a really talented fighter, but I just don't think he's a fighter who has achieved his potential. I don't think he ever will, if truth be told. I think he kind of wasted his prime years. I'm going to make another video about Josh Taylor and kind of break down his career and break down what I think happened to him, what I think went wrong with him, and just go into a little bit more detail in that regard. But yeah, just wanted to make a quick video today because, again, I wanted to have something uploaded. I want to keep the channel active. You know, I kind of neglected this channel for so long, and I feel like with me sort of resurrecting my retrospective boxing series, I kind of dragged this channel out of the depths for a little bit, only for it to kind of fall off a little bit afterwards. So I just want to keep the channel active. Let me know what you guys think anyway. Thanks for watching, and yeah, God bless.